It was only a few hours ago where I uploaded the top 10 best Skylanders reposes, but we're not going to stop there with the top 10s of today, because we're going to waste not too much time getting straight into another top 10, that being completely oriented around sport, because sport is based around physical activity and is very good for keeping you healthy. Therefore, it's very important to me, to say the least, and it's also going to be very important to a lot of Skylanders as well. I mean, like, if they're fighting enemies 24/7, they're definitely going to need some sort of physical prowess in order to keep on marching through their battles, mind you. And naturally, some Skylanders lean themselves to potential in certain sports and others, so that's exactly what we're going to be counting down today for top 10 Skylanders with the greatest sporting potential. Now, we're going to be basing this list on the Skylanders' abilities and how well they lean themselves into certain sports, and these have to be real-life sports. If it's a fantastical sport that's exclusively in Skylanders, then it's not going to count towards this list, because we're going to ask the question, what if these Skylanders were available in real life and could actually participate in these sports? How much potential could they have at being successful in them? So without further ado, let's get into the top 10 countdown. Sorry, Woody, you're not in this one. At number 10, we have Smash Hit. Now, what's so great about Smash Hit and his sporting potential is the fact that the very method in which he swings his wrecking ball is the same method hammer throwers use to, well, throw hammers. Now, it is an Olympic sport, hammer throwing, but unfortunately it's not a very glorifying sport. Like, can you name me one gold medalist from hammer throwing? Didn't think so. So whilst Smash Hit could most certainly exceed in this sport and become a exceptional gold medalist, it's not going to have much glory in it for him, just because hammer throw isn't the most popular event of the Olympics, mind you, or just in general. Next up, we have Roller Brawl, which roller skating is an actual real-life sport, one which Roller Brawl would definitely be great at because she has an uncanny sense of balance. Now, here's the thing, her blade skates definitely wouldn't be legal, so she'd have to use regular roller blades, but I'm sure she would balance on them just fine if she can deal with the sharp blades, mind you. But who knows, maybe the difference in terms of the terrain from a real-life rollerblading arena to from the terrain in Skylanders, and maybe, you know, having to have much more smoother rollerblades could perhaps put her off, but I don't think it's going to be much to ruin the potential she has in roller skating as a sport. However, once again, it's not a very glorifying sport, so Roller Brawl can't really get much fame from it all. Next up, we have Stealth Elf for acrobatics/gymnastics, which she could definitely exceed in these sports because she's a very acrobatic-based character, being able to perform flips and all sorts of tricks and everything. So, no doubt she could become a gold medalist in that, but first of all, it's not the most glorifying of sports, once again, and second of all, if I believe so correctly, these sports are based highly on the opinion that the judges have of you, and not just for technique alone, so who knows, judges can always show bias, so Stealth Elf could always be limited by that, and regardless, gymnastics and acrobatics, whilst definitely being a very difficult sport, unfortunately isn't the most rewarding, especially for sponsorship deals, so while Stealth Elf could most certainly exceed in this sport isn't going to get her much in terms of fame and fortune. Number 7 is Barbella, who's an excellent weightlifter. I mean, like, her weapon is literally a set of dumbbells with rocks on the end, which are definitely going to be heavy, mind you. And she is so good at weightlifting that she can manipulate the earth around her, giving her her element capabilities. Regardless, once again, weightlifting isn't the most glorifying of sports, so becoming a gold medalist and exceeding in that sport isn't going to give her much fame and glory. However, it's definitely going to get her a good payroll, because she could definitely become a great coach in the sport. With her coach-esque attitude and personality, it would definitely lean herself towards becoming a coach for weightlifters alike, and maybe even training up gold medalists in it of herself. So she definitely has a lot of potential in weightlifting for not only being a gold medalist herself, but for coaching gold medalists along the line. And as I said before, that's definitely going to be a nifty payroll for her in the future if she was to take up all of this sporting potential she possesses. At number 6, we have Fright Rider, who has a lot of potential within jousting, mind you, which is a very interesting sport. First of all, it's not to be confused with fencing, which is very similar to jousting, except from the fact that it's done on foot. Jousting, however, is not only the skill of the rider, but about the skill of the animal that you're riding in order to joust with. So, of course, for Fright Rider, that's no problem, because their biography specifically states that they were a championship-winning duo within the sport. So, translating that to the real world, you would think wouldn't cause any sort of problems. Well, unfortunately, when it comes to jousting, they are done on horseback, and the lances have to be made by hand. I'm not sure what Fright's craftsmanship skills are like, and I'm not sure if he would be able to maintain that championship spirit with a different partner, mind you. So the uncertainty in whether his success would carry over is ultimately what gets him number 6. However, since he is such a champion in Skylanders, I'm sure with that championship spirit he possesses, he would be able to best most competitors, even without his signature partner, mind you. And the thing with jousting is that it's definitely a glorifying based sport, especially for knights, and they are great at attracting crowds, especially if we're talking about the Middle Ages, because jousting was quite a spectacle for the locals, so that could of course garner Fright Rider plenty of fans, and so naturally they could definitely become a well-known name within the sport of jousting. Unfortunately, as I said before, without this signature duo going into the jousting competitions, and, you know, Fright having to make his own lance and ride a horse that he's not as familiar with as Rider, then who knows what a real-life scenario could inflict upon this character for a sporting potential, mind you. Number 5 is going to be Starstrike, who would definitely have a great potential in tennis, because first of all, she floats, so she wouldn't have any sort of problems with being agile on the court, as well as creating drag from running towards the ball, mind you. So that would give her an advantage over other athletes right off the bat. But second of all, there is her reaction time. Her moveset is based entirely on hitting orbs towards enemies, which demand a good reaction time based on the speed of the orbs, so I'm sure with a ball flying towards her, she'd be able to have the exact same reaction as she would an orb, mind you. And she's already got the technique down, because the way she swings her fans with the use of the whole arm rather than just the wrist is the same technique that tennis players use to smash a ball with whenever they have a tennis racket in hand, mind you. So Starstrike definitely has a technique for reaction and the physical prowess needed in order to become a huge tennis superstar, and there's a lot more glory involved in tennis than previous sports on this list, which definitely boosts Starstrike up to the number 5 spot, because tennis is a huge sport with thousands upon thousands of famous athletes that participate in tennis, and a lot of people that go to watch it, hence why it has some great sponsorship deals involved with it. And, of course, fame and glory, most importantly of all. At number 4, we have Terrafin, who's a trained-up boxer, which means he could no doubt do phenomenal within the sport. Now, of course, he couldn't bury under the ground and belly flop on his opponents. That's more of a wrestling-based move. But why does he need that when he has such powerful punches up his sleeve? So, the potential he could have at not only performing boxing matches, but winning boxing matches and becoming a heavyweight champion is unparalleled amongst the rest of the Skylanders, even for ones that have punching capabilities to them, because whilst they punch, they do it aimlessly and without technique, unlike Terrafin. And boxing has a lot of glory in it, because once again, being a heavyweight champion would make you very famous, and it has a very huge payroll behind it too. Boxers get a few grand for every match they fight, so most boxers can go off one match a year and be able to live quite handsomely off of that. So no doubt Terrafin has that boxing potential to not only become a heavyweight champion, but to have that nifty payroll and have a nice life from all of that. Number 3 is going to be Zap, who easily has the greatest swimming potential of any Skylander in the franchise, because all the other water Skylanders have some sort of levitation abilities to traverse water. Slam Bam has a surfboard, Gilgrunt has his jetpack, Whamshell floats on his broomstick like a witch. Zap is the only one who swims. Not only does he swim, but he swims well, because he uses breaststroke and is incredibly fast with it. This guy could become a gold medalist in breaststroke easily. In fact, I don't think there is any competition against his speed and movement capabilities in the water. So he, with the potential of swimming for this character being unparalleled, is truly what drives Zap to the number 3 spot. But swimming, once again, is a very glorifying sport, because it's one of the biggest sports of the Olympics. It's one of the most supported sports, and therefore he could easily garner himself a huge fan base. And ultimately, when it comes to fame and glory, what's most important of all is your fan base, and swimming could absolutely provide that. Coming in at number 2, we have Slinger, who can hit his enemies from miles out with a blindfold, so I'm sure hitting bullseyes with both eyes open would come easy to him, and that would make him such a huge archery legend, to the point to where he would have local legends starting to spread about him in the same vein as Robin Hood and William Tell. So, if these legends spread successfully, I'm sure that Flameslinger will become a man of myth, so to say, and, being a myth among men is definitely a great potential he has up his sleeve for the sport of archery, and it definitely means he's earned the number 2 spot. Even if archery isn't the most glorifying sport, what does it matter when you excel at it to this extent as much as Flameslinger has the potential to? But number 1, without a doubt, is Lightning Rod. His physical prowess is what made him a Skylander in the first place. Like, seriously, look at those muscles. I think he could excel in any strength-based sport. Not to mention, just like Starstrike, he levitates, so there's no drag when he has to maneuver, and he would have great agility. So he could excel at any sort of racket-based sports like badminton and tennis. He could excel at any strength sports like weightlifting. But best yet, he has his throwing potential, because if you look at the technique in which he shoots his lightning bolts, it would make for a great javelin throw, or a shot put throw, or a frisbee throw. So, he could become a gold medalist in just about every sport under the book. And he was a champion in his Sky games designed for gods in Skyland. So I'm sure human sports would come easy to him. Being a god amongst men, I'm sure Lightning Rod would excel at sport if he was to partake in it. So his sport potential being through the roof, and being the very fact that he even became a Skylander, is ultimately what gets number 1. It's ultimately what gets Lightning Rod number 1 on the list right here. Sorry, I kind of got a bit mumbled for my words right there, but that's going to do it for this here top 10 video. I want to thank you guys all so much for watching, and I will of course be seeing you in the next one when Tournament Moment arises. Peace!